Hey, good morning, and welcome to Life Online. It is one of the epic stories in all of the Bible. It's one that the kids especially love. Yeah, especially boys. So here he is. He's just a young man, a shepherd, and he ends up taking on the epitome of the warrior champion, and he is completely outmatched. But there's nobody in Israel's army that will stand up and take on Goliath. David comes, and he does. And when he does it with 5 smooth stones from a small creek. And these are some of the most incredible words of faith that you'll ever find in all of the scriptures. It doesn't come from an old man. It comes from the heart of a young man. The warrior is already inside of him because there's a fight in him that is for the renown of his great God, the God that he's come to know. And here's what he says as he faces Goliath. You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I'll strike you down and cut off your head. This very day I will give the carcasses of the Philistine army to the birds and the wild animals. And the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel. All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands. Man, what incredibly inspiring words. If that doesn't make you just want to stand up, want to declare a war shout, I don't know what will. But it starts in 5 smooth stones. It's simple things that David was familiar with. He was familiar with the touch in their hands. He had used that sling over and over again. One of my most prized gifts I think I've ever been given was from Mom Combs. It was after my father-in-law, Reverend Joe Combs, passed away and went on to his reward in heaven. But it was it's this simple box. And on the front of it, the man who fashioned it, he says, I'm an imperfect man and this is an imperfect box, but on the front of it are 5 smooth stones to remind of the story of David and Goliath. And what you find inside are little notes that are tucked away that speak to Reverend and Mrs., Reverend and Reverend Joe and Ada Combs. And this one says, Dear brother and sister Combs, you will never know how much the both of you have blessed so many of us here at Crump. Imagine that. Little bitty town in southern Missouri. When we needed someone the most, God sent the 2 of you to us. You blessed us with a new church and the needed guidance at the time we needed it most. So the story is that here's this little church, few people attending, they're ready to close it down, but it's in a community that desperately needed the gospel. Mom and Dad Combs knew that, and at a minister's gathering, when they talked about closing that church down, Dad Combs stood up and says they need someone to come and preach the gospel in that community. And then in his bold declaration, he said, Ada will go. And Ada, his wife, who's also ordained preacher in the Assemblies of God, went ahead and she says, yes, I will go and I will preach. And so they pastored 2 churches at the same time. And as she went and preached and pastored that church, and sure enough, Brother Combs then rolled up his sleeves, gathered some men. They built a brand new church building. And the truth is that in that community now, there is a thriving Assemblies of God church that is the most influential church within its community. They have an incredible amount of families, children, youth. It is a vibrant church that is full of the power of God, and there are many individuals who have been called into ministry out of that little church. Now, I don't know about you, but when you get to the end of your life, I hope that they will say of you, and I hope they'll say of me, just like statements are made here of Brother and Sister Combs, that in difficult and challenging times they stepped up to the plate. And here's what you need to do, and here's what I need to do. It's not so much that we have all of the expertise, but I will tell you this. If you have some faith in God, And if you will take what is familiar to you, what God has maybe planted in your hands, and say, "Oh Lord, will you use this to bring down the giants that stand in opposition to your church?" God will take you and He will use you in a very powerful way. So today is a day to live in great faith. Yes, we have opponents. Yes, it seems sometimes as if the odds are against us. But if you have walked with God, the God of might and power will put a fight inside of you, and you will stand against the enemy, and the enemy will come down at the power and might of God with simple things like 5 smooth stones. Hey, God bless. Live your life in faith. Have an awesome day.